All right, welcome back to the Success Chronicles. I'm Coach Mike McKay. Today I am with Matt Littau. Is that the right pronunciation of your name?
It is. It is.
Matt is the owner of Viking Plumbing, and he also owns another company that I'm going to ask him to say a little bit about. The unique thing about Matt is also he's a licensed engineer with the state as well as a master plumber. For all of you that are in the trades, you know what licensed engineering means and what the master designation for a tradesperson means. So smarter than the average bear. And let's kick right into, I know we talked a little bit before we started taping, but why did you buy a P&J? What is P&J and why did you buy that again? Because you had a great story about that.
Yeah, so was running Viking Plumbing and needed to move into it. We needed a new space. We needed more room. We needed more office space. We needed more warehouse space. And I came across P&J, and I really their space was perfect for what I needed and for where I wanted to take the company. And P&J was also for sale. So I acquired P&J really more for the real estate, the space that was there, the warehouse, the office, the showroom. And it's really worked out good. And P&J was also being a bathroom kitchen remodeling company. It's very closely aligned with what we did, as a service plumbing company and helping people improve their bathrooms and kitchens and whatnot. So it was a really good fit all the way around.
Yeah. I think the messaging is serendipity happens in business all the time. And it's like a 2-for-1 problem solving. So, if you're listening to this, keep your eyes open because cool things happen in the world.
Yeah.
Tell me about buying Viking. Like you bought Viking in 2023, but it's like 25 plus years old, right?
Yeah. So the company had been around since 1999, really well established in the community. They had a great reputation, a great plumbing company. The previous owner, he was a great plumber. And he had really taken the company, I feel, to a point where he was kind of had maxed out his capability, if you will.
It's hard. It's hard to grow a company. That's true.
Yeah. I honestly, Mike, I look at guys who are just starting out at zero, and I'm like, how in the world are you doing that? It's hard. So,
Yeah.
just buying an operation that's already running, it's hard. But starting out from zero, I have more respect for those guys now than I ever did before. I'll say that.
Yeah. I mean, it's super.
So
Go ahead.
Yeah, he grew the company to the point that he could grow it to without introducing any technology. So there was the most high tech thing they had were a couple desktops in the office that they ran QuickBooks Desktop on. But the guys in the field, they were it was pen and paper basically, all the way around. Even the way they were collecting payment from customers, they would just mail out the invoices, snail mail.
Yeah.
So when I came across them, I was looking for a company to buy, to get into. And when I came across them, I realized that it was a really good opportunity to take a company and just introducing even a little bit of technology could really propel them quickly to the next level.
Yeah.
So
what's your experience been with that? How's that gone?
I mean, it's in a lot of ways, it's gone better than I thought it would. The guys accepted it better than I thought they would accept it. There's always pushback every time you introduce change.
Sure.
People there's the standard pushback. Now, from the time I bought the company till now, there's only 4 employees left. We're with the original company. The rest either retired or went off to do their own thing or work for different companies, which is fine. I did introduce a lot of change, and I did my best to try to keep things the way they were. But one of the first things I did, Mike, is I bought the company in April, and I introduced Service Titan 3 months later. In my naivety, I thought that I could introduce Service Titan and kind of roll it in slowly.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That is not how it works.
Because that's how those things work, right?
Oh my goodness. It was kind of funny because I spent like a month integrating Service Titan on the back end with QuickBooks and all our, our customer lists and whatnot. And then it was like, I think it was like the first week of July is the go live. And it's basically they pull the plug and it's like, okay, you're 100%, all your guys in the field got to use Service Titan. Everything is going to be on Service Titan now. It's not, and
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm speaking of Service Titan, and I don't know if your listeners are,
CRM, right?
it's a, yeah, the term they use, the FSM, Field Service Management Tool.
Got it.
It
Yep.
basically allows us to do all of our customer tracking, all of our dispatching. We take our calls through Service Titan, so all of our calls are recorded. And then that information gets sent out via Service Titan and their mobile app to all of our technicians in the field. So
Sure.
they carry an iPad or iPhone and all the information's there. So
Right. I mean, so similar in remodeling would be not hiring steps. That's a disregard that. Builder Trend is integrated field management process that remodelers use. And uh, to your point about the back end work, and either it works or it doesn't work, like it's got all these really amazing capabilities when
yeah,
it's put in place. And if you put
right,
92% of the capabilities in place, it's worth zero. It's only when like the last few pieces drop that
right,
it starts to really pay off for you. So,
yeah,
so I want to hound on this a little bit if you guys are listening to this, because one of our jobs is to grow our owners out of their job, and it is not a true case that the owner of a company, it's almost never the case that the owner can get the best out of it. So in your case, you bought a company that was up and running and can make improvements on it. For a lot of the people that are listening to this, they're still the original, the OG, right, who started the business. And I'm not saying this because there's something wrong. I'm saying it because there is plenty of opportunity for those guys to do something for someone in their business, like let them take over as the president or what have you,
hmm
or sell it from an exit strategy standpoint.
yeah,
So I saw your motto earlier. If you wait until you're ready, you will only wait and never be ready.
yeah.
Where did that come from? Like, who inspired that in you?
Well, it was actually that scenario with Service Titan um,
Okay,
is what kind of started that. Is I feel like all my life, there's been a lot of things I've wanted to do, but there's always like two or three things
sure,
that's like, ah, man, I need to get those things in line, and then I can do this next step. And what I found, what those things are, there's another word for that. They're called excuses.
that's right.
So you will always find something that's not, when you get ready to undertake something, you will always find something that's not ready to go. Um, oh, I'm not ready to go on a trip yet because I don't have someone to babysit my dog. I don't have, all the right clothes. I'm not ready to buy a business yet because I don't have enough money, or oh, I don't have enough knowledge about that field. Um, so when I took on Service Titan, my thing was, oh, I don't think the guys will fully embrace it, so I need to roll it out slowly.
Sure.
But then when Service Titan basically pulled the plug and it kind of forced me to go, to use Service Titan 100% for everything all at once. What's amazing is that the factor that you can't calculate and you can't plan for is people's unique abilities, and even employees. Um, I think what I did is I underestimated my people. I tried to make excuses for them, like,
Sure.
oh, they don't understand technology. Yeah, they do. They have brains. They're good.
I mean, they
They're good.
probably all got one of these, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, we were using, a little side note, we were actually, when I bought the company, they were using push to talk phones. You remember the push to talk phones that
I
were really
I
popular like during the 90s?
I do
That's
remember
what they were
those.
using. It
Huh.
was it was amazing. So
And yet they built the
it's
company, right? Like they
and
built
then
something that caused
yeah,
you to be willing to buy it.
yeah. So they were able to build something from that. But then just along the way, there was all these different things, these different steps where I would tell myself, okay, I'll hire a dispatcher. I need to hire a dispatcher, but maybe I'll do it in 3 months. And then 2 weeks later, I would be like, dude, I got to hire a dispatcher right now. I can't wait 3 months. I got to do it right now. And just over and over again, there were all these decisions where I was like, well, I'm not ready. And then it's like, no, I got to do it right now. And I realized like I kept trying to wait until I felt ready,
Yep.
and it just held me up. It just kept holding me up. And I'm like, screw this. I need to pull the plug on these decisions. I need to make a decision now, get going. And it's amazing when you do that, when you show leadership from that perspective or in those moments. I feel that that's where the team coalesces around you and they make it happen. And there's been so many times where I've been like, okay, we're going to do this. And I don't even really know in my head, Mike, how I'm going to do it. I just know that
Sure.
I need to do it.
Yep.
And next thing you know, someone steps in and like, oh yeah, I can take care of that and I can take care of that. So I think part of it too is I'm blessed to have some really awesome people on my team that, you know, that they're able to do things that I didn't even know they could do. You know, I interview them
Yeah.
and I ask them all the questions, and it's
So
just been,
let me push back on that a little bit.
yeah,
Because I always have my business coach hat on. And what I would say is you're blessed to have your eyes open. Like everybody has amazing people. I mean, I have yet to, come across somebody who wakes up and says, man, my whole goal for the day is that Matt thinks I'm a dumbass by 5 o'clock. Like nobody gets up to fail, right? And
right,
yet, as business owners, we put this assumption that we have ESP or, that somehow the people haven't lived my life, so they're not as good as me. So I would say, the bless that's, I don't even know that it's a blessing, but the willingness to watch your people, the willingness to not have to be right, to be clear on the result and open to the how is a high
yeah,
level skill for a leader to have. So it's cool
yeah.
that you have
That's
experiences that are going down that path,
yeah,
right? That are showing you that you
yeah,
have good people. But
yeah.
I'm,
Which
I'm
is actually that's you know, you use the word results. One of our core values is we're results driven. And yeah, at the end of the day, if I have a result I'm looking for, whether it's a KPI or a metric we're trying to hit, um, as long as you are operating within our core values, I don't care how you get there.
yeah,
So, um,
it's the as long as part, right? Yeah, I
right.
mean, core values are critical, and I think I worked in big companies for 25 years, and we had them on the wall, but nobody. It wasn't an everyday thing, right? Like
Yeah.
this is what teamwork means. This is what integrity means. This is what results means. One of the coolest things I heard from a young leader a couple of weeks ago was, this when I tell somebody I need something, he goes, I've gone beyond results to say this is what success looks like. And so, of course, it's based on results, but I want them clear that if these things come to pass, they've had a successful day, they'd have a great day. I'm going to check in with them a couple days ahead of time to make sure that they don't have any questions. But he's like, what I found different than in previous businesses that he owned, uh, he just started. I coached him before he's in his current job, and he just looks at me and starts laughing. He's like, "Yeah, I've always had great people. I just never let them do their thing."
Yeah.
So that you know,
Right.
here's what success looks like. So again, if
Yeah.
you're listening to this, you have good people. I can almost guarantee you have good people. Question is, can you be as open as Matt just described to, hey, you guys got to create a result. But business is a results-based game, so it's not about
Yeah.
being fluffy, but letting them do their work. So
Right.
how,
Right.
how did you get to the point where you thought buying a business was a good idea? Like, what was your development professional path to finally get yourself to pull the trigger on buying a company?
Yeah. Great question. So I've been around entrepreneurs all my life. My dad owned his own business, but he had a plumbing and heating business back when I was younger, growing up. Um, but he was more of the business owner that just worked to have a job.
Sure.
So,
Yep.
made a living for the family, and that was great. And then um, probably 20 years ago, he and my two older brothers started an air conditioning company, and they ran that for a few years, and they sold it, and they made a little bit of money, and it ran well, and it went good. Um, but also, I've just been around a lot of other entrepreneurs, and I realized that I think to really break out of the mold, you know, it's that business ownership is where it's at. Nearly every very successful person I've ever met and talked to was in some way and at some time a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, yeah, for me, and so it almost became like just this piece of me I had to fulfill. Just like I got to do this, got
Yeah.
to do this. Um, and and then I found out too. So I realized many years ago that I wanted to be a business owner, but I became really good at developing excuses. And it goes back to I wasn't ready. Oh yeah, I'll go into business when I have this ready, and when I have this ready, and when I have this license, or I have this
Sure.
advanced, blah blah blah. I became very good at that. Um, and I finally got to a point. It was shortly after COVID, just with the big changes going on. I'm like, you know what? This is stupid. You know, I can
Mm-hmm.
always go out and get a job and make a decent living, but
Right.
you know, if you want to live like no one else, you got to live like no one else. And yeah, I finally started really seriously looking for businesses for sale. And when this one came up, um, I went with the flow, and everything worked out. And yeah, along the way, I've certainly put myself into uncomfortable situations, but those are the situations you grow the most from. And
That's right.
yeah, it's
Can't grow in your comfort
got
zone.
me. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for
So tell
sure.
us a little bit more about Viking. Commercial, residential. What all do you
Yeah,
do? Are you service focused, new
we
construction?
are. Yeah, no, we not no new construction. We are 100% service. Yeah,
Okay.
we're a service plumbing company, probably 85% residential.
Okay.
Um, a little bit of light commercial, but yeah, our primary focus is residential plumbing service. Um, I've I've always been more drawn to the service side. Well, not always. Since 2008, I was living down in Phoenix.
Okay.
I lived in Phoenix for
Wow.
about 20 years. So I lived in Phoenix during the 2008
Yep.
Great Recession, whatever it's called. And the effects of that recession were extremely pronounced down in this Phoenix, Las Vegas
Vegas.
area.
Yeah.
I saw home values go from, um, I owned a townhome at the time. In 2007, it appraised for $240,000. In 2008, after the crash, there were identical townhomes on that same street that were selling for 60, 70, and
Oh,
$80,000. So what happened down there is there were all these construction companies that were just making bank in 2005, 6, and 7.
yeah.
I mean, they didn't know what to do with all the money. 2008 hits and their business went to zero.
Yeah.
So the only guys that survived, that had any chance of surviving, were the guys who were in the service business.
Mm, gotcha.
And a lot of construction guys tried to pivot and go into service, but it's a different animal.
Yeah.
And very few of them figured it out. And so I realized really quickly, like, ooh, I mean, construction can be sexy, and the big projects, ooh, a big purchase order, ooh, that feels good. But if you want something that's going to keep, I felt like service for me, I like that draw of having something a little more steady, something that's always going to be there. Not saying I would never do new construction, but for right now, we are very focused on just staying in the
Sure.
service lane. That's
Yeah.
what we're,
I mean,
yeah,
the reality in business is any niche, any process that you want. You just said the word focus. Like if an owner and a business will be focused on it, they can pick any, like it's one of the curses of owning a business that there's too many options, right? It's
yeah,
paralysis because of the inability to choose one.
yeah,
And so that focus is a key skill. So
yeah.
what's your, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just with the focus, it's to the point where it becomes painful. And yeah, you hit on something big there, is the options, and getting sidetracked by the bright shiny object, as you probably as
Yep,
I've heard a lot of coaches
that's
call
right.
it. Yeah, you get distracted by the
ESPs.
bright. Yeah, so trying to just stay focused, it is hard and it's painful. It is painful at times. Passing up opportunities, it's like, oh, it just kills me. But no, you got to stay focused.
I was at
So
a conference where one of the speakers was a guy that was the leading scorer for Kansas City. He was a place kicker.
yeah,
And one of the people there said, "Hey, my kid's really, really good at tennis. Do you think I should make them, or I feel like I should make them play other sports?" And he looks at her and he's like, "Why? Why would you do that?" She's like, "Well, I want them to have a well-rounded life and lots of opportunities." And he's like, he goes, "Well, I've been to the White House 3 times. I hung out with John McEnroe. I was in a VIP seat at Wimbledon. I've been to Dubai." He goes, "I think I've had some pretty cool opportunities in my life, and it all came from a 4 by 4 foot square where a football got put on the dirt and I kicked it. I just became one of the best in the world." He's like,
right.
"So the ability to focus, like you're mistaking broadening those horizons to think it's going to cause you a different result, but it's the ability to focus." He's like, "All
Yeah,
the cool things in my life came from a 4 by 4 foot square of dirt."
yeah,
And I'm just like, that's actually pretty freaking good. That's a pretty good
yeah.
lesson. Like,
Yeah, if you think about it, actually, now that you mentioned that, how many famous people do you know because they're good at doing one thing? A lot. But how many famous people do you know because they're mediocre at doing a lot of things?
not
I
many.
don't know of any.
Yeah. Yeah. He asked her because her kid played, the person's kid played tennis. He's like, "Well, I think Andre Agassi lives a pretty good life." He goes, "But it's still
Right?
true. Mine came from literally a 4 foot by 4 foot patch of grass." And
Yeah,
that made everything, that focus made everything possible for me. So,
yeah.
what's your biggest learning so far as a business leader that you're willing to share with us?
Um, man, whew, there's been a lot of things, but I think I think it comes down to or where it comes from is the whole, if you wait until you're ready, you'll only wait and never be ready.
Hmm.
And being able and willing to trust the people around you to fill in those voids. Um, that I think that's for me that's what's held me back a lot is, and that's kind of a not being willing to delegate. It's yeah, because I've just been surprised, Mike, by how often I've delegated stuff to people and they've not only been willing to take it on, that they've done a really good job with it.
Right.
Um, and then the other side of that is there's some things that I've delegated to people and they don't do quite as good a job as I could have done. But then I have to step back and say, but wait a second, was I am I being too critical here? It was, maybe the effort I was putting into was way overkill. We don't need to do that. So just yeah, I don't know if I want to say it's being humble, but it kind of is a little bit
Yeah.
just like I don't know everything. And
Right.
yeah, it's valuing my people for the brains that they have and
Yeah.
being willing to really like let them do their thing and just accepting that like, yeah, you know what, that's what we need right now. And we can keep moving forward.
Yeah. I think humans, we have this thing that everybody should be as fill in the blank as I am, right? But nobody has the same experiences that you have. And especially in expertise world, like becoming a master plumber, right? You got to demonstrate expertise.
Yeah.
Well, you were also somebody who didn't know anything about plumbing one day, and
Yeah.
somehow you figured it out, right? Like you went through the process and got the master plumber and certified engineer. And then we start thinking that everybody that we're working with or who works for us should be able to do the things that we should do and totally ignore, like in our industry, coaches, a new coach doesn't know as much as I do because they don't have as much reps. But 13 years ago when I started, I didn't know shit. I'm still here
Right.
somehow. I'm not
Yeah.
that smart. Like I have a lot more experience than a new coach does now, but I learned that expertise only comes from experience, and it mostly comes from things that happen rarely. So it's not every day that a business owner walks in or an employee walks in and says, "Hey, I just got diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer," or "my dog died," or, all these things that happen to people. And
Yeah.
expertise, even in leadership, comes because it happens over time. And expertise and thought, you can speed up the process of that expertise. Like for me, if it happens, then I tell all my coaches, "Here's how you handle this." So we can like speed up the amount of time it takes to get them to that level. But we don't
Mhm.
give people credit. And so when you're looking at somebody, 90, there's a phrase, I don't remember if it was Darren Hardy or somebody said 90% done by somebody else is always better than 100% done by me. I mean, even if it's
Yeah.
not as good, if it will work, if it can
Yeah.
work, then let them do it because that builds their skills. How
Yeah.
about the opposite? How about a challenge that you've had?
Um, just understanding the accounting process, you know, yeah. And that's actually, you know what, that's been one of my biggest hangups, and that's been the hardest thing I think for me to accept. So my degree is in mechanical engineering. I've always been good at math.
Hmm.
I've kind of fancied myself, being like this math whiz kid. Um, so good with numbers. So I kind of, you know, took pride in that a little bit. So, I was thinking accounting is just moving numbers around. Yeah, I can handle numbers and I can, but there's the concepts of accounting.
Yeah.
And oh man, like Mike, yeah, I understood what a P&L was when I bought the business, but like understanding a balance sheet really well,
Right.
which I'm still learning. Um, Understanding the concept of cash flow. Like everyone talks about, oh yeah, cash flow is a big deal. It's a big deal. Okay, great. But what does that really mean? What does that really look like?
Right.
So yeah, for me, that was a big learning curve. So man, if I could give anyone advice who's wanting to get into business ownership, dude, start learning something about accounting. It's and it's such a to learn accounting, I think is probably one of the driest things, but boy,
Yeah.
oh boy. When if you're like me and you learn it the hard way, whew,
It's expensive lessons.
it's
I
expensive.
I'm worse because I have a degree in math and I couldn't figure out balance sheets to save my life when I got started, and I didn't even know there
Yeah.
was a thing called a statement of cash flows that was just spit out by your accounting software.
Yeah. It's all magical.
So I
But
mean, we
yeah,
we use cash flow forecasting and teach people all those things. But yeah, man, we keep telling people numbers don't care about math, does not care about your emotions, doesn't care what you feel. It just is out there
right.
giving you information.
Yeah.
And without it, without reality, it's really hard to make good decisions.
Yeah.
So what's the next big thing for Viking Plumbing and P&J?
Well, so P&J has been kind of absorbed by Viking Plumbing. So it's all under the umbrella of Viking Contracting.
Okay.
So under Viking Contracting, we have the bath and kitchen, which is the old P&J. We have plumbing, we have sewer and drain. So really what we've since we've gotten into our new location now and I've been able to outfit a warehouse, a proper warehouse that's functional, and it's really, really primed us for growth. Um, so we're in a great position there. I have a team in my office team to um, that really acts as the support for the field team and also acts as the sales and marketing, making sure we're bringing in the business, making sure we're having that presence in the
Mhm.
in the community, so people have a plumber to go to and they know about us. There's an awareness of us in the community. Um, I've really made an effort now this year. Up until this year, Mike, we've spent very, very little on marketing, almost nothing. Um, Now I've hired a marketing firm to work with to drive our marketing. We're going to definitely I'm making an effort this year to make an investment into marketing, getting our name out there, and just growing the team in the field. We had some pretty massive growth last year. I brought on a lot of new people, so this year maybe not grow as much, but really refine. Get the guys to. It's about working more efficiently. Um, just simple things like I didn't have a warehouse a dedicated
Sure.
warehouse guy last year.
Yeah.
Now I do. So now
Yeah.
when I have a plumber working at a job, he needs a part, I can take the part out to him
Sure.
instead of him leaving the job to go get it. So stuff like that, just
Yeah.
dialing that in.
It's grow plateau, right? Like you can't have a nonstop sprint of growth. Otherwise you basically leave the whole company foundation behind and all kinds of problems pop
Yeah.
up. So at some point you gotta recombobulate.
Yeah.
And the cool thing that you'll probably find is like when we have somebody in that phase, they start just naturally kind of growing faster because they take the pressure off growth, move it to systems, like let's systematize the business. And then the fact that the business has better systems allows more volume to go through the business. And even in
Yeah.
those years when, we're trying to get them to recombobulate or upgrade their foundation, then it just kind of naturally picks up the pace.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
more question for you that I never prep anybody for. And that question is there a question you wish I would have asked you that I didn't? And what would that question be?
Oh my. Yeah, you should have prepped me for that one, but you can't. I get it. I get it. There's
And
a
if the
question I
answer
wish
is
you would
nothing,
ask.
that's totally cool too.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of anything, Mike.
All right,
You, you caught me off
Matt,
guard there.
that's good. And that's part of my throw people off the course of things.
No, that's good. Get me to think a
So
little bit.
yeah. All right, Matt, thank you. We went a little longer than normal. Great conversation, and I
Yeah,
appreciate your
this is good.
insights and your
Yeah.
willingness to share them with all of our peeps.
Yeah,
So
awesome.
if you're watching,
Oh,
check out Viking Contracting and Matt Littau's team. And if not, you should be. Catch
thanks,
you
Mike.
later.
All right.